You are now listening to the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast.
My name is DJ Vince Adams. I absolutely appreciate what the Chicago Clubhouse crew is doing for the city of Chicago.
Hey, young world, what's good? It's your boy Bernard Varian, a.k.a. B Twice.
What up? This is Rasheed Davis, former Chicago Bear wide receiver.
Hey, my name is Lemuel Stinson, a.k.a. Lemonade, formerly of the Chicago Bears.
What's up? My name is C.J. Watson, former Bulls guard and bench farm creator.
This is two-time six-man all-star baller Ricky Deuces Pierce.
What's up, people? This is Chicago radio legend Rick Party, the voice you hear everywhere.
My name is Pee-wee from the movie House Party.
This is Megan Martinez from the Good and Funny Podcast.
Hey, this is Bubba Ball from the Shits Podcast.
Hey, this is Nika from One Shot Wellness, repping from the ATL, dropping some drips on that Chi-Town Clubhouse Podcast.
This is Sherry, and you're rocking with the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast.
You are now rocking with the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast.
You're now rocking with Chicago Clubhouse Podcast.
And you're rocking with the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast.
And you're rocking with the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast.
Where they think they know everything.
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 But they don't know shit.
But they don't know shit.
But they don't know shit. But they really don't know shit. But they really don't know shit.
But they really don't know shit.
But honestly, they don't know shit.
Hey, I smell something. I smell podcast. The Chicago Clubhouse Podcast Show.
They really don't know shit.
You already know what time it is.
You see this Eddie Jackson jersey right here? Take this.
This dude literally just took my soul.
So I didn't like playing with Brett Favre at all.
You could have waited until the draft if you wanted to look at another quarterback. You didn't have to sign Andy Dalton, who is really nothing but a backup.
Evander Holyfield is 58 years old. What you want to fight a 58-year-old man?
But man, he wants to keep fighting.
Because he want to fight him. Okay, it's an exhibition.
But yeah, it's an exhibition because
this ain't Drago and Apollo Creed, man. Ain't nobody about to.
Man, Martin and Tommy Hearns was an exhibition. You saw what happened to Martin.
This could hurt.
Thanks, Hayden. Nothing but the best.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, bro, tough for real, man.
Yeah, man. He like tougher than some grown folks I know, man.
That as a coach, your job is to give your players the best opportunity to have success.
Michael Jordan, when he came back at LeBron James' age, he was a straight up nothing.
That is blasphemy on his computer right now.
Because I'm gonna tell you something. Without Dennis Rodman, I couldn't see them winning like they did those second three championships. I can't see it.
I agree.
And now I'm the voice of SportsCenter on ESPN. Now on SportsCenter. Tonight, LeBron James. And whatever.
Do you guys really coach how exactly to tackle correctly? Because I see it all over the league now. People cannot tackle like they did whenever you guys played. But do you guys practice tackling at all?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast, where we think we know everything, but we really don't know shit. Today, we will be talking and discussing some Bears since I think minicamp is gone and started. We'll have the train team on, and we got a very special guest today. As you see, I'm dealing with kids. I got one that's keep popping in and out of my frame here. But yeah, it's nice and sunny today. Pretty day outside, I'm actually kind of excited because our special guest today will tell us some things that a lot of us Bears fans have really been questioning and wondering why Devin Hester didn't make the Hall of Fame. We don't know. Hopefully, we'll get some answers today. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's kick this off. Let's bring in the Gene team. First of all, let's start off with the man that sits up there that knows every stat from the 80s and the 90s, the 2000s, and probably the new millennium as well. My man, JB. Jay Bizzle, what's going on?
Man, what's going on, man? How you be?
Man, I'm hot in the house. I don't know, man.
I'm out.
Man. Turn on the AC, man. About 79 degrees up in here right now.
Ain't nothing wrong with cooling down, brother.
Yeah, what is that? A Long Island iced tea?
Absolutely not.
So you feeling good, man? You been good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Just, working with the kids. The basketball camp is really taking off. Our girls division is really, really gaining some steam. So I'm really, really proud about that. So, just plugging and chugging, man. That's about it.
Oh, okay. Bet. Yeah, well, I'm interested to speak to our guest today. This ought to be good today. I mean, we're going to get some answers, some things that a lot of the people have not been privy to. So, let's go ahead and bring on the second member, the rookie of the team. Terrence like to call him no longer a rookie. Actually, tell you the truth, we got a lurker today.
Oh.
Yeah, we got a lurker. Somebody's lurking.
Anyway, do I know this person is lurking?
Oh, yes, you definitely know this person that's lurking. Everybody out there knows this person that's lurking. He's a lurker today. But let's bring in the man known as Frank the Tank. We going streaking, baby.
Busy night. We're going to take a trip to Home Depot.
Hey.
How's everyone doing?
Bring your hat.
Yeah, right. You think KFC's still open? I mean, that's kind of good over here in the suburbs. Is KFC still open? Because we don't got that.
We got to get you some Harold's, man.
You do got to get. I'm still bugging about this Harold's chicken. That's all I hear about is Harold's chicken and Moore's beer, and I can't get either of them here in the suburbs.
I eat the Harold's. I don't drink beer.
But even with that being said, though, chicken and beer can't go wrong.
Agreed.
Can't go wrong with chicken and beer. Okay, well, guys, today started. I don't think camp started today, but I think most of the veterans and everybody reported, right?
Most of them at least reported. Yeah. Other than one big name, and that's Roquan.
Well, I was about to say, did you hear about what happened with that situation? Did he supposedly reported to say that he was holding out?
Yeah, he showed up just to say he was holding out.
Like, we don't need that right now.
No.
But I kind of understand.
He's got to get paid, man. He's no reason for him not to get paid.
But what is Ryan Poles going to do now? Because in my estimation, if you don't pay him now, he's going to cost more next year.
Agreed.
After yet another stellar season, right?
Agreed. Lock him up now.
If you franchise him, I'm not quite sure what the league average is because do they consider TJ Watt a linebacker or an end?
Nah, he's gonna go off of what
he's an end.
Warner makes and what Darius Leonard and those
guys. So I was wondering what they was going to because
they're making about
top 5 salaries. Well, Darius Leonard just got a bigger payday, but his is not that high. Fred Warner is the one.
There's zero reasons to franchise tag him right now. He needs to get signed on now. You franchise tag him, it's just going to cost him more next year. I understand quarterback, running back might not be Poles' guy. You have nothing bad that you can say about Roquan Smith's game. Nothing.
Right, but see, get what they're talking about. Roquan may not be a Poles guy, but he's damn sure an Eberflus guy. He's
absolutely
definitely one of those working pieces he would need in this 4-2. Absolutely. I mean, not this 4-2, this cover 2. He absolutely would need him in that position. So moving forward now, the talk around town is going to be how long does he hold out for one, and two, what is the price range that Poles is willing to go to? Because we already know right now they probably not going to give him $20 million.
No,
probably not.
I mean,
Warner's not making $20 million. He's making 19. I mean, tell you the truth, like I told people before, you can put Roquan stats up against any linebacker at his position in the league, and his stats are just as good, if not better.
I have those stats actually.
To me, he's probably the most disrespected linebacker in all of football. The man only a 2-time All-Pro, but the man should
Never
have
made a Pro Bowl.
crazy numbers. But then, how do you make All-Pro but don't make the Pro Bowl? How does that even happen?
That just shows how pathetic the Pro Bowl voting is.
Well, how much of a popularity contest
that too, yes,
that it really is, because now
Roquan isn't a popularity linebacker. He is the perfect example of he can do everything type linebacker. And sometimes that doesn't,
I mean, the man had, what was it last year? 18 tackles for loss. 18.
So, well, here's the thing that bothers you. When you figure that Fred Warner, as great as he is, right, the man had 137 tackles, but he only had a half a sack, 7 tackles for loss, no interceptions, right? He's the number one linebacker in football currently. But Roquan had 163 tackles, right? That's he had more tackles by, he had 4 tackles. He had 12 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 3 sacks. And of his 163 tackles, 95 were solo. That means that man is getting you almost 100 tackles by himself. Jesse, what's happening? Whereas Warner, he only has 79 solo tackles. But of that, those positions, are you looking at what the benefit of a Fred Warner can do with other great defenders around him? Because let's not act like the 49ers don't have key pieces. You got Bosa and them up front. You got good corners, good safeties. They're a very complete defense. Roquan at some points was kind of doing it on his own, because remember, Khalil Mack was gone. Hicks was gone. He didn't have a lot of push in front of him when he was making those tackles. Hey, Mom. And he wasn't lined up on Quinn's side as much as people think.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. You know what? This is good talk. And we're gonna dive back into this later, but let's bring in our guest, because I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people out here that got a lot of things that they want to ask them, particularly about
Brandon. What's up?
Our one of our favorite Bears, a guy that changed the game as far as when it comes down to special teams. That's Devin Hester. And Frank, you know what? I'll let you go ahead and bring him in, Frank.
All right, let's bring in. He is from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and here he is. Rich, feel free to introduce yourself.
Thanks, guys. Look, I know your viewers can see that name and they're like, "Well, there's a mouthful." But if you go into Cubbyland Wayback Machine, they had a manager named Leo Desrosiers, and when my dad came to Ohio from New England and no one could pronounce his name, was around the time that Leo wasn't in the Wayback Machine, and to make it simple for his friends, for his buddies, he said, just pronounce it like Leo Desrosiers. So okay, so that's how everybody pronounced our last name. So pretty soon, Leo became his nickname at work. And when I was a little dude about that tall, the phone rang in our house, and I answered the phone, and the guy on the other end said, "Hey, is Leo there?" And I said, "No, you got the wrong number."
You had no idea.
Yeah, my dad comes around the corner and he said, "Who was it?" And I said, "I don't know, somebody asking for some guy named Leo." So
that's fun.
So you guys can appreciate that. I can't tell that story to everybody. They won't get it.
Yeah. Out there in Ohio, yeah. But it's nice to have somebody, in case everyone didn't know. I just found this out too. He is a big Bear fan too. From Ohio.
I put the midnight blue shirt and the Bears tie on. I've been rocking it all day. Just getting psyched up for tonight.
Nice. Yes, sir. Tip my hat off to that.
So we're gonna talk about Bronco Nagurski and Sammy Baugh, right?
Why don't we just jump in and tell you how Aaron Rodgers?
I'm trying to tell you, you going back with some history right there.
Well, Listen, you guys know the 2022 version a lot better than I do, but the 85 version and the 1940 version, I might be able to stick in the conversation for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can definitely stick in there because I know nothing. Well, I know a few things, but I don't know too much about the 1940 version.
Yeah, I mean that was the last time we had. That was the last time we had a pretty good quarterback, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. McMahon did okay.
He was.
I mean, well, you know what?
Good enough.
I think because of injuries, because of injuries and Mike Ditka, we never saw his true potential.
Nope.
You're not wrong there. Yeah.
No, hey, if you just let him draw plays in the dirt and call his own plays, he's a multiple all-pro quarterback, I think. He had the arm.
Yeah, he did. And he definitely had the balls, too. I'll always give him that. He was tough. He was a true Bear quarterback. I mean, there's no hands down about that.
Hey, come from BYU, you got to have the smarts.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely didn't come from what's Michigan, that's for sure. Because we know those Wolverines are soft.
No. But they come down.
Here I am talking about it. I'm an Irish fan.
We're top notch. Now you may say something like Michigan State, where
no, he said what he said.
No. Academics, you can't mess with us. Athletics, you can't mess with us. He's just a little brother, but it's okay. But Rich, yeah, that's a little Michigan State war.
We did school you guys in hockey at my college. Just so you know.
Hey, Foulmouth. You know how to get a Spartan graduate off your front porch?
Spartan graduates right below him.
You know how to get him off your front porch?
How you do that?
You pay for the pizza.
Hey, there it is. Are you a Buckeyes fan?
No. You know what? I root for the Big Ten. Whoever's playing, if they're out of conference, I'm rooting for the Big Ten. I'll root for Sparty now and then. I do like Coach Izzo.
Thank you. I would just like to say,
love Izzo, yeah.
When is the last time Michigan won anything of significance? Because I can tell you when we did.
What are you talking about? We just won the Big Ten championship. What are you talking about?
I said of significance.
Big Ten champions. That's a divisional championship. That's
like a national championship.
When's the last time you guys won something?
We won a national championship in 2000. What are you talking about?
I mean, we won one in hockey.
Championship in basketball too?
I can't speak to hockey, Frank.
Hey, I can. It's a championship.
My school schooled the Wolverines. I'll tell you that for sure.
So there you go.
I think it was like a 17-0 game owned.
What school is that?
Robert Morris.
Okay.
That just showed Wolverines wasn't really that big in hockey, guys. Like, come on.
Okay. Hey, so Rich. So tell us like sort of how this Hall of Fame thing goes, because I know we got a lot of questions, and I know there's viewers that's going to ask a lot of questions about how the process is with the Hall of Fame and what's the criteria why certain people didn't get in or weren't first ballot.
I saw the tweet. I know I'm on the hot seat. I know how this works. I think I know how this works. I'm not 100% sure I know what I signed up for here, but we'll see.
It helps that you're a Bears fan, though.
It does help. That does soften the blow a little bit.
All right. Hey, listen. First of all, the Hall of Fame does not pick who's in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So we have a panel of right now it's 49 selectors. Mm-hmm. There's one from every franchise, meaning a beat reporter assigned to every franchise. So there's your first 32. Okay. And in the Chicago market, that's Dan Pompei from The Athletic. Mm-hmm. I know you know him.
Yeah.
Then the other 17, one of the remaining 17 is the president of the Pro Football Writers Association. And the other 16 are what we call at-large selectors. And they could be national media people like Peter King, Sal Paolantonio from ESPN. And then we've got 4 Hall of Famers who are on the selection panel right now. And that was a decision made over the past several years to try to get, I'll use the air quotes, some football people, some people who who understand what being a Hall of Famer is, to have some input on this selection process. So Bill Polian and Dan Fouts and James Lofton and Tony Dungy are all members of the selection committee who also have a gold jacket. So there's been some diversification of the panel over the last few years, some more women. The president of the Pro Football Writers Association this year is Lindsey Jones for The Athletic out of Denver. Mary Kay Cabot from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Shireen Williams works for Pro Football Talk. So that's who picks it, not the Hall of Fame. They meet. They'll meet in January. They'll have a couple of cut down votes between September and January, and then they'll have the full election. And I can tell you, Devin made that final 15 last year. Didn't quite get over the finish line, and we can talk about what some of the selectors look for and some of the criteria that they balance. Hey, listen, you get down to that final 15, and you can make an argument for everybody that makes it that far, and it becomes Are you a Rocky Road ice cream fan, or are you a pistachio ice cream fan? Because that's really what it is. It's a beauty contest, and some people value. And listen, and Devin was in uncharted waters. I mean, he is. I don't think there was anybody in that room who disputed that he changed the game. He's the best at his position. He's going to get there. He's going to get there. I know a lot of people put a lot of value in being a first ballot guy, but the Hall of Fame is filled with people who would surprise you how long it took for them to get there. And a lot, getting there on the first ballot is a pretty unusual thing.
Yeah. So let me just be real transparent and clear. When you have somebody that's a generational talent and has done something that nobody else has ever done in the history of the game, not to mention has changed the way the game is played, the way the game is schemed on special teams, because we always say offense, defense, and special teams is like the little brother that's forgotten. But why don't we ever look at things logically? Because not to take away from some people that made the Hall of Fame, but I think it was it Dana Stubblefield or Brian Young got in? Did that person need to get in over Devin Hester at that time, no matter how long that person had waited? Because I know traditionally, you don't really flood people at the same position, right?
Not typically. You'll see sometimes, these right now, the position you don't want to be in right now is wide receiver. Torrey Holt, Anquan Bolden, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. I mean, there's your logjam. The logjam that existed at offensive line finally broke up. Kevin Mawai, Steve Hutchinson, Alan Faneca. There was one more in there that finally broke through that logjam, and now that logjam is at wide receiver. And listen, guys, I'm very confident that Devin's going to get, he's going to get it, whether it's class of 2023 or not, we'll see. I think probably yes, but I have to be, I do have to be careful what I say and make it so it's not like I'm slighting anybody. Listen, Bryant Young. Should have been in the Hall of Fame before this year. I think he was a Hall of Fame worthy guy. One of the things that Bryant didn't do was toot his own horn, and it probably hurt him. But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a cool story that happened with Bryant this year that I think got him over the hump. He had about 7 offensive linemen on their own got together to make the case for him, and they did a Zoom just like this. And Jerry Fontenot was one of them. And Robbie Tobeck was one of them, and Kevin Cogan was one of them. Adam Timmerman was one of them, and for half an hour solid to a man, and Mark Schlereth was one. For half an hour solid, they said that Bryant Young had waited too long, and that carried a lot of weight in that. I will tell you that carried a lot of weight in that room. To know that the guys that BY went up against one-on-one for 14 years were saying this guy had been passed over. If I think that's what everybody needs. They just need a strong advocate in their corner. And like you said, JB, and that's happened for Devin already. And it's going to happen, I think, with a lot of momentum going into 23. People are going to say exactly what you said. He changed the game. He changed how schemes were drawn to, and I can't believe that even in the last couple of years, people were still stupid enough to kick the ball to him, but they still did.
Even in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
I literally see live streams of people recording practices of them literally practicing how not to kick the ball to him.
Yeah.
But before we dive deep into that, because then I want to kind of give you like a scenario because, and I'm not saying, you know, Brian Young with the 49ers, we know what they did. We watched that, you know, that era of football. But then it kind of makes me cringe a little bit when his peers that he went up against say, oh, yeah, Brian Young should have been in the Hall of Fame. But then we have a guy in our backyard, and Steve Montgomery Michael, that's got 95 sacks and was one of the greatest defensive tackles of all time.
Yep.
And he ain't sniffed the Hall of Fame.
No.
Yeah. Which is utterly ridiculous. 95 sacks from the defensive tackle position.
Yep.
Yeah, that's more than a lot of ends. That's more than a lot of damn good ends.
Like that's why I say, man, Rich, I'm about to get fired up because when I say certain things, we just spoke earlier about how certain Pro Bowl selections seem more like a popularity contest. Like the most popular kid in school becomes the king and the queen of prom. But then when you go out in the real world, hell, they working at McDonald's or pumping gas or whatever, like they've never done anything with their life. We talking about bona fide guys that have done probably things that will never, ever happen again, with the exception of like a guy like an Aaron Donald right now, who will probably surpass that. But we talking about a defensive tackle with damn near 100 sacks. That's unheard of nowadays. And he's not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't have a good answer for you on that one because I'm a big fan too, and I don't know if he's been hurt by the fact that Denton Hampton are already in, and it's like, oh well, he was
strong
the number.
Possibility. A lot of defensive players on that team.
You know,
but you still did it. See, that's where I say people start to get skewed. Now we want to say somebody achieved stats because of what they had around them. Well, we're going through that right now with Roquan Smith, as he should be like the number one rated linebacker, but somebody in San Francisco named Fred Warner has better people around him, but he's higher rated. It makes no sense. It's like you have it one way with a group of people, and then you have it another way with another group of people, when it should just be like a baseline.
I mean, it could be also maybe they included that he had Mack, that he had Quinn, that he had a lot of great people around him, but maybe Roquan was always still, no matter what, during his time here.
So Roquan Smith has a 2-year stretch that only matches one other player in history, and that's Ray Lewis. Look it up. And you will never see Ray Lewis snub on anything.
Yeah.
So now that makes me double back. Am I saying that Brian Young was not Hall of Fame worthy? I'm not saying that. I didn't play the position. I didn't play against the position. But when I look at the numbers, which is all we have to go on right now, personal pride, personal, bias aside, Steve Montgomery Michael should have been in the Hall of Fame.
I think there's a lot of times where you could take a resume and don't put like you're saying, JB, it's a popularity contest sometimes, or it's a notoriety whose name gets out there. Take 2 guys, give me their resumes, and don't put their names on top. Slide them across the table at me and say,
it's a great observation right there.
Zach Thomas has been waiting a long time.
Zach Thomas should have been in.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, one of the better middle linebackers ever.
He's a tackling machine.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, oh my God. Like, I remember the Miami teams. It was like, this dude just won't stop. Him, Luke Kuechly. Like, I could go. Sam Mills just got it. I could go on and on and on with these guys back in the day that used to just London Fletcher has numbers comparable to Ray Lewis and them guys, and he wasn't sniffing, but he's, like you said, he's not an overly produced name. Right.
It took a long time for the safety position to be as appreciated as it's become in the last couple of years. And guys like, it took Steve Atwater until the class of 2020 to get in.
Right.
Shameful. Brian Dawkins, Ed Reed have been recent safeties, coming in, Lynch. But for a long time until those 3, there was this, there's a big gap. And I think the football people and the selectors have gained a greater appreciation of the importance of the safety position. And so you saw this, this little run on the position. I think maybe, with Seymour and Bryant Young getting in, hey, that only helps McMichael because people are going to say what you guys are saying. Wait a minute.
He's veteran committee eligible now, right? So,
yes.
Because he's way past.
That's good. Yeah. Yep.
And what I don't want to see, God bless that man. I don't want to see them put him in after he's left.
Posthumously, yeah.
Posthumously, correct. I didn't want to say the big word, but right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see that happen because when you look at, I mean, come on, he's deserving. Like Seymour,
See, I like Seymour, but I thought Seymour was just off of the hype that the reporters and the NFL people gave him. I thought he was nice, but I didn't think like he was anything where it was like.
Well, Belichick loved him, so start there. Belichick was one of his greatest supporters, so start there.
Yeah, and we know how much they love Belichick. And that's another thing that I want to talk about, Rich. There's a guy by the name of Terrell Owens.
Oh, I was just gonna say that too. You beat me to it.
There is no way on God's green earth that this man should not have been a first ballot Hall of Fame. And
hey, listen, take what I just said about the blank resume, right? Put T.O. stats on a piece of paper, but no name. Are you putting this guy in? I mean, there's a good argument that it's probably happening in the first year, and
the name drags that down right now.
Yeah, you know,
but that's the crazy part about it, Rich. Like the Pro Football Hall of Fame is supposed to be about what you did in football, not about what you did outside, the type of character that you were or whatnot. It's about what you did on that football field. Because if we were going by character, it'd probably be a lot of guys that's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
it's just that simple.
But see, Chris, let me stop you, Rich, before you answer, because we're looking at, we just said popularity contest. But we've known of Hall of Famers with questionable outside of football background. Terrell Owens hasn't had that.
No, he really
Terrell Owens never gotten any trouble.
But see, that's the thing, though, JB. It's not necessarily he doesn't have to necessarily get in trouble. The thing is this: when the media doesn't like you and paints you in a certain light,
he painted him.
You may rub the wrong reporters or writers the wrong way. You know, they can get into their little move because at the end of the day, there's some of the guys that's going to have final say and see if you get into that Hall of Fame or not. They may sit up there and take it right then and there, but they're like, we're going to get you in the back end. There's some of the guys that's going to have final say.
But with that being said, though, do you feel, and Rich, please answer, do you feel that that's a fatal flaw that needs to change with the committee? Because now, for every Terrell Owens that you say shouldn't get in because of character issues, hell, there's a Randy Moss, there's a Lawrence Taylor, there's a Ray Lewis, like there's countless other guys that have done or been associated with far worse and have waltzed right in.
Yeah, well, I think the only reason why, and I'm a big Randy Moss fan, when he was actually, I thought the Bears should have drafted Randy Moss. I was a big Randy Moss fan. I thought the Bears should have drafted him. They picked Curtis Ennis. Oh my God, was that a huge mistake? But I think the reason why Randy Moss became the first ballot Hall of Famer, simply put, because Randy Moss ended up getting on TV. And he done a good job at it, and he was very likable on TV. As a broadcast, I think if Randy Moss didn't, him and T.O. been in the same boat. I mean,
didn't later on in his
comment
career,
on it and give me your opinion on it, but that's what I think, honestly.
Later on in his career, though, didn't he kind of clean up his act a little bit, especially when he went to New England?
Didn't matter.
He wasn't really that
same. Well, no. It was the Raiders' time. Remember when he was like, "I play when I want to play" and all that. Remember he famously was quoted in saying that, and I'm not running across the middle and doing all that. Who was that? Was that Kerry Collins? Was his quarterback? I want to say at the time, possibly somewhere around there. So a guy like that, Rich, as opposed to somebody who was basically like, hell, I'm 5 weeks off a broken leg, but I want to do what I can do to play and win for my team.
Yep.
But that guy's looked upon as selfish. He's not looked upon as a warrior, like I'm going to die on my shield. He's looked upon as selfish. Please explain, how does that look for you guys in the voters' eye, if you can answer that question?
Well, I can't answer that as well as I can answer the more recent ones, because I'm just, so everybody understands, I'm in year 3 of being at the Hall and having the blessed opportunity to be privy to some of these conversations. So I don't know what the conversations were, when the selectors were in the room, and it was T.O. I don't know who said what. I don't know if somebody had some sort of smoking gun complaint that swayed the room, or if it was just like you said, if it was doing crunches in the driveway that upset people. I don't know.
That's social media for you.
Yeah,
Hey, don't get me started, because Ty Cobb's in the Hall of Fame as the second greatest hitter of all time, and he killed somebody. That's on record. So let's not do that. Damn sit-ups. Come on, man.
Went in spikes high all the time.
Right. Hey, I like
that. And wasn't going to play on an integrated baseball field either.
Right, remember? These are all true facts.
Yeah.
It was based off production, but then the guy right above him, when it comes down to it, they bet a little cheese on himself, and they won't put that man. He got over 4,000 hits. Won't put that man in the Hall of Fame. Over 300 batting average, 4,000 hits. Like, come on, man. Charlie Hustle, man. He see, and this is what I'm wondering. Like, the Hall of Fames across, with the exception of basketball, because it seems like if you can make a layup, you get in the basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like, that's just bad.
Yeah, some people can't make a layup though,
and they still made it, which is weird. But I wanted to ask you this, Rich. So when you all have that selection, is it always like that number between 7 and 9? Because I know some years there's only been 5. One year there was, I think, 6 that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the Troy Polamalu year? I want to say when them safeties came in. I think that's what you were bringing up, and it was like him, Champ Bailey was like 3 DBs or something like that. So is it always going to be that 7 to 9 number?
It's always going to be a bigger number now. 8, 7, 8, 9. There's just so many players on so many teams and so many people worthy, and trying to get some of these guys before they fall into the senior pool, because that is a tough road to the Hall of Fame, coming through that senior pool, as with Mongo.
Yes.
I got a question for you. You're a voter? Let me make you a voter for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Barry Bonds, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Roger Clemens?
Yes.
No.
See, I'm a yes on both of them too. I don't, I get the whole steroid thing, but if everybody's if the playing field's level,
that's my thing, because hitters and pitchers were doing it. If it was just one-sided either way, no. I'd be like, you had an unfair advantage, even though you still have to hit the ball. Like, steroids doesn't enhance your hand.
Yeah, you're wrong there. You still need a skill to play the game,
but
steroids aren't giving you that.
If you're taking steroids and you went from 95 miles an hour to 105, hell, I might need to juice up a little bit to catch up to that ball. I get it. And at that particular time in baseball, it was not illegal.
Right.
That's why I say, if you want to put that caveat in, those guys should have been in, because guess what? Every hit is not going to be a home run. Every pitch is not going to be a strikeout. We're talking about some of the best of the best of the best. I think they all should get in, and it's a damn shame that baseball will, like, basically sit on this perch, this high and almighty hill, and just kind of like wag the finger. When I've had elder statesmen say, well, hell, them greenies we used to take in the locker room was way worse than any steroid. Remember they used to take the methamphetamines to keep them up and juiced and all that? They used to say that was way worse than taking any steroid.
But Mr. Hall of Famer JB, is Pete Rose in there?
In my eyes, Pete Rose should. First of all, Pete Rose is like the best ever, period. And he didn't do anything but bet on himself.
Yeah.
That's like me saying right now, hey, Chris, hey, Frank, I bet you $5 I can get Rich to laugh. Okay, I bet on myself.
You just lost $5. Rich didn't laugh.
Right.
Okay, but
I will eventually.
He will eventually. There you go. But my point being is, he bet on himself. It's not like he threw games. It's not like his nickname is Charlie Hustle.
Yeah.
For God's sake. The man will throw down a bunt and dive into first base. Like, come on. He ran over a catcher famously in an all-star game.
Cleveland's catcher.
Yes. Like, come on.
Ruined his career.
Out of there. So I'm saying, like, when you have those monumental characters, why not put them in the Hall of Fame? Hell, no offense to anybody that's family, friend, foe, whatever, or cares for Babe Ruth. Hell, he was a womanizer. He probably got more kids than Social Security. But
man,
you know what?
Genghis Khan.
But you know what? The man can hit the ball, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Like, let's keep it 100 when it goes across the board. It can't be a set of rules for some guys, and then it's these different hurdles or barriers for others. And I say this to say, and I say this to say that because I don't want to I want Rich to talk. But when we look at certain players, polarizing as they may be, Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. I bet you he gets in first ballot.
Well, they love him. As much
I'm
of an asshole.
I'm just saying. He's not the most, the bull he just pulled. Remember, he had COVID and went to the Halloween party, no mask, no back. Yeah. He's done a lot of questionable stuff, but I bet you he gets in first ballot. You know why? He's a likable guy.
I don't like him. You know what, Rich?
After he hosts, Rich should answer that because Rich is like you've seen it, Rich. You've been right there front and center with it, and like how do? And I don't want to make it seem like I'm asking you to speak for them, but for you, just on your stance, like, is that criteria valid?
For we talking Aaron or?
Oh, I'm saying is somebody of that light, like they're so great, but they're just like a trashy person. Like is that enough? Is that enough to say I'm gonna keep him out of first ballot? Because the thing is, it's almost like if you're not first ballot, you're not Hall of Fame. You're Hall of Very Good.
That's tough when there's that many. Here's a barometer that some people use. I'll just tell you that some people use this barometer.
Okay.
And you can, and maybe you would say this would be true of Devin. When the process happens, when you get down to that final 15, each player, I mean, we're talking the modern era player voting process, gets down to the point of 15 that, quote, get in the room, have their resumes really sliced and diced. And somebody is their advocate in that room and talks about their resume, talks about why they should be in. There is a school of thought that all you should have to say is Peyton Manning and you drop the mic. All you should have to say is fill in the blank, and drop the mic, Ray, whatever, Ray Lewis,
Jay Cutler,
Dick Butkus. No,
not Jay Cutler.
No. If I went in the room and say and just said Jay Cutler should be in the Hall of Fame and dropped the mic, is he getting in? I mean, no. I gotta do a sales job on that.
You might be kicked out.
You gotta be one hell of a salesman.
Yeah,
I just love saying that.
Yeah. So is that a swear word on this show, Jay Cutler?
No, I like Jay Cutler.
No, we actually do like Petty. We actually
like Nagy is.
Man,
I heard that.
Yeah, it's the Denny's menu guy you can't say.
Or the McDonald's drive.
If you say his name, that's $1 in the swear jar.
Okay. So
that and probably Eddie Jackson might be in there as well.
Well, that guy's not on there.
Yeah. Cody Parkey,
he's lurking.
Okay, so JB, you're in the room. You're in the room with 48. You're one of 49 selectors, and you're going to advocate for Devin Hester. It's time to pick the class of 2021. Okay. Are you going in there and saying Devin Hester and dropping the mic, or are you going on for about 3 or 4 minutes about how he changed the game and how coaches had to scheme against him and really, maybe not a hard sell because you believe in him so much, but there is a little bit of selling that has to go there that you have to convince 48 other people to put somebody in the Hall of Fame who did something for the first time. He was the trailblazer. I'll grant you that. And whether or not you agree with that argument that it should be a drop the mic moment, I'll tell you that there are some of those 49 who feel that way, that a true first ballot guy should be a drop the mic guy, and you don't have to waste anybody's. Brett Favre was that way, and it kind of started with Brett Favre, is from what I've been told. Guy got up and said, look, this meeting takes 9 hours. I'm going to save everybody some time. Brett Favre. And he sat down, and everybody was like, no, he's right. We don't need to sit here and we don't need a recitation of Brett Favre's resume. He's a Hall of Famer. Let's move on. That is sort of that tipping point for some people on why Devin didn't get in on the first year. They needed to be convinced that it was so special to make him that first year guy at a place in a role that had never been defined by anybody else. Now, you and I might say for that reason he should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame guy, that he was that trailblazer, trendsetter, difference maker. Again, it kind of goes back to that beauty contest aspect, and we're weighing guys who waited 5, 7, Leroy Butler,
Ooh, Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Is that a swear word too?
No, he's no, because he was a problem for us.
Yeah. So, Leroy Butler was an all-decade player who waited, 15, 16 years to get in.
Absolutely.
Again, at the safety position. So once Atwater got in, and once Ed Reed got in, and once John Lynch got in, it's like, well, who's the next best safety? Who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Well, shoot, it's Leroy Butler. He's been sitting there waiting. He was an all-decade player, invented the Lambeau leap. Let's get him in. And I think partly what happened with the class of 2021 is you just had this weird confluence of all these guys who had been waiting multiple years. And it's like, we're going to go move them all through. And we're going to start over in 2023 with a clean slate of a lot of guys. Hey, listen, how about DeMarcus Ware? DeMarcus Ware was 130 some sacks.
Yeah. Cowboys and stuff.
I mean, it took him
not first ballot. Not
first
ballot.
For Richard Dent to get in there.
Not first ballot, Rich. But so let me go back to what you said as far as the drop the mic conversation, right? So I think Devin is a drop the mic conversation.
I feel that way too, yeah.
But the reason why in my opinion, why I say you have to do a soft sell to some is because they've never valued special team players like that.
Yeah, until he became.
Look how long certain kickers it took. It was almost like if you're a kicker, you might as well wait till 20 years after you've retired to get in. And
you're in that veterans pool.
But most kickers kick into their late 30s and, they kick forever if they're good. So just that time frame, what was his name? He played like 20-some years. He played punter, quarterback, kicker for the Raiders. I can't think of his name. But
are you talking about Ray Guy? Is it Ray Guy?
Is it Ray Guy? Like he was like the first special team guy.
Yeah. He's still the only punter
to get in. But in the sense of what Devin Hester has not only meant to the game, but what he brought to the game. There's people pre-Devin Hester, we know Bobby Mitchell, guy up in Detroit, Mel Gray. Like there's been a bunch of Dante Hall. There's been a bunch of really, really good special teams kick and punt returns, but nobody has done it to the degree that that Devin Hester has done it. So that alone should be enough of a criteria for me to say he should be Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And didn't the rules change for special teams after year 2 of Devin Hester only?
No, it was after the Super Bowl. So what was that?
That was year 1. I thought it was year 2. After the second year, at the year after the Super Bowl, they changed the rules because Devin Hester had 6 returns in his first year and then 6 returns in his second year.
Right, because remember it was something like I remember the little talk was Tony Dungy had practiced all week of the snow.
Yeah, that was a great speech.
He wasn't going to kick to Devin Hester, and they end up kicking him to it anyway.
The day of the Super Bowl, they decided to change their mind.
Right. Yeah. So, and little things like that. I mean, as quirky as that may be, the Arizona game, him in that defense single-handedly turned that game around. Like it's not like he's not a game changer. And I'm not even talking about if you want to add just as a little frosting and a little sprinkle on top, what he did in the receiver game.
He wasn't a bad receiver.
It wasn't bad for the Bears.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
For what the Bears, because we're not trotting out world-class A+, A1 receivers as far as the league is concerned. So for him to have that contribution and what he did in the special teams kicking the punt game, like it's almost like if he gets in second ballot, people will cheer, but it's almost a slap in the face. Because now, what would the criteria for the next Devin Hester be, or what does the next Devin Hester have to do for a special teams member to actually George Blanda? Thank you. I was not Ray Guy. Thank you.
Did Ray Guy get in though?
Ray Guy's in.
Ray Guy is a punter.
As a punter.
Yeah. George Blanda was the punter, the kicker, the backup quarterback, the water boy, the holder, the playmakers, everything.
George Blanda was a heck of a quarterback going back to AFL days in Houston.
He was a hell of a football player.
He could chuck it all around.
Yeah. That's who I was speaking of, George Blanda. Yeah. But you see what I'm saying, Rich? So the next Devin Hester has to go probably above and beyond what he has already accomplished just to get that first ballot nod, and it's almost impossible.
Yeah, to me, Devin Hester is a drop the mic, because in NFL history, he is probably one of the most dangerous guys to ever had a football in his hand when he had it. I mean, like, the man literally, like, he changed the sport.
Like, people would rise to the feet.
Change the sport. Like, how many people get up out? Like, anytime that your peers on the opposite side get up just to see you sit up there and get ready to return, that's a game changer. The man, it's not like, okay, this guy, yeah, he was pretty good, or he was the best in his decade or his generation. This man is the best at that position, period. And tell you the truth, he may be the best kick returner and punt returner of all time.
Well, that's hands down. That's hands down, no question.
The thing about it is that the NFL for the longest doesn't really look at guys that play special teams as them really even being special.
And when you're talking about a mic drop, and I like how Rich was saying, like, if you have to question anything about that mic drop, that's the only thing that you can question in my eyes, is he was a special teamer and really only a special teamer.
He was
but he really wasn't only a special teamer. See, he really wasn't.
As a very
he was above average receiver to average receiver.
Yeah.
He had about average hands, but the man was great.
Yeah.
When
he was like a Debo. You just got him the ball and let him do what he wanted.
When he was on special teams. It's just that simple. The man broke the returning record. You know, Deion had it. Deion did it with punt returns and interceptions. This man just did it with punt returns and kickoff returns.
Yeah.
You know, the man was
one missed field goal.
Huh?
Right.
Oh yeah. And we're not gonna even, and that's the crazy part about it, Rich. We're not gonna even, they don't even count the one that he returned from the field goal. They don't account the one that he took in the Super Bowl. Like, these are all that you can sit up there and you can include on there, but they don't even count it. That is crazy. And let's just say, that's not even to mention how many times teams rather have the Bears get the ball from the 40-yard line or wherever they were giving this man the ball.
Yeah.
You had the commentator sitting up there saying, "Why do you kick it to this man? Why do you do that?" That's like sitting up there saying, "Why do you talk smack to Michael Jordan? Why do you do that?" All it's going to do is piss off.
A lot of people screwed up when they did that.
Yeah, so how can you sit up there and deny this man a first ballot to be a first ballot Hall of Fame? Let him set the precedent. Okay. All right, so you guys want to talk about special teamers. Okay, we'll let Devin Hester. You have to do something. If you're a special teamer, you have to do something that's going to change the game in order for you to ever be a special teamer, first ballot Hall of Fame. Let him set the precedent.
Who's on the Mount Rushmore of Chicago sports?
It isn't Devin Hester.
Well, it ain't Devin. I know. I mean, you look at some of the Mount. I mean, some of the great
Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, guaranteed.
Walter Payton, Michael Jordan.
Well, we're just saying Chicago Bears.
Huh?
No, he said Chicago sports.
Chicago sports.
Yeah, I would say Michael Jordan, Walter Payton, Ryan Sandberg, and Stan Mikita is who I would say.
I don't know if I throw Sandberg on my Mount.
I ain't throwing no
I don't think I throw any baseball player on my Mount.
I much rather put the Big Hurt on there before Ryan Sandberg. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if I put Chicago Mount Rushmore, and everybody
I
loves.
would put Frank Thomas on there before I put Ryan Sandberg.
I would throw Gale Sayers on
That's
there.
you.
I put Dick Buckets up there.
Okay, he might be another one, but if you take what I did was I took a basketball, a football, a baseball, and a hockey. That's what I did.
Sandberg is your Mount Rushmore of baseball?
He said Chicago sports.
Yeah,
and if
I probably would have threw Ernie Banks on there over Sanders.
If you polled 100 people, I'm very confident with that list. What you say, Rich?
Walter, yeah, Michael.
You only get one.
Michael's a guarantee. We don't.
Michael's a guaranteed, and Walter's your football guy.
You damn sure ain't gonna put Sammy Sosa on there.
And I agree with the Stan Mikita one if we're trying to play all sports here. But Chicago's never really been known, as much of a hockey guy as I am, Chicago's not known for hockey, so I don't think I'd put a hockey guy up there either.
Yeah,
it is now.
But
it is now.
But
if Patrick Kane finishes his career with the Blackhawks, he's going to surpass Stan Mikita on that.
But in hockey lore, the Blackhawks have had some pretty good guys. Because what's the goalie's name?
Tony Esposito. Tony Esposito, but he's never won a cup. So
he was a bad MFer though.
Yeah. I'm with you, Frank. I'm putting Kane if he plays a few more years. Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to surpass Patrick Kane if he plays a few more years with Blackhawks.
So you guys are further my point, Mikita or Kane, either one. Now who's baseball? Because there's two baseball clubs.
Baseball's tough.
And Frank Thomas, as much as I am a Frank Thomas fan, hell, I'm a Harold Baines fan. Grew up, my mother had me watching the White Sox.
I agree with Curtis on this one. If I had to pick a baseball,
I like Harold Baines, but Harold Baines ain't touching Frank Thomas, man.
And I'm a Sox fan.
I'm just saying, I grew up watching these guys, but the name I've heard the most from Harry Carey on down, Ryan Sandberg. That's the name.
But tell me this though, when you look at
Frank Thomas
stats up against Frank Thomas, stats it ain't even close.
I'm going Frank Thomas.
It's not even close. Ryan Sandberg is a political choice because Ryan Sandberg was a guy that was very much liked and all that. And
are we talking politics right now?
If we're jumping back right now, if Frank Thomas took steroids, can you imagine what his freaking stats would look like?
Oh, he'd be in the 700 club.
And you can say that with Ken Griffey.
Ken Griffey's got 660 and Frank Thomas got 521.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Frank Thomas because of the testosterone commercials.
Gotta love those testosterone.
Eugenics.
Big Hurt beer.
I always wanted. I've never tried the Big Hurt beer. I do want to kind of try that Big Hurt beer.
But look what you just did, Rich. So the Mount Rushmore of Chicago in the four major sports, it's only two people that were alive. So kind of like what you go through when you all have the Hall of Fame vote. You may have one or two or three people that are like a no-brainer lock, but then what do you do with the other 4 to 6?
I mean, and it's so difficult because when you look at the Chicago Bears history. So football, you look at the Chicago Bears history. They have more Hall of Famers than any team in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely, and more wins than any franchise.
And I mean, like you can go down, you can say Walter Payton, but you can sit up there and say Red Grange. You know, you can talk about something all the time. Like I said, Buckets, Sayers.
Absolutely.
You know, it's so many guys in that history that you can name, but Walter does stand out. He does, just like Mike stands out because you want to know why? They're two of the greatest to ever play their positions. You know, arguably,
it's more than likely ever play their
three.
sport. That's one of the greatest ever played their sport.
A top 3 running back, probably top 10 player of all time in the NFL. Michael Jordan is. Well, you know, we all think of him as the GOAT anyway. He's like the gold standard, you know.
We'll keep that down because Rich is a LeBron James fan. So
is he?
He can be a LeBron James fan. LeBron James.
Man, you like prima donnas that wine all the time.
Hey, on this show, we like to think we know what we're talking about, and we're going to tell you.
We don't know shit.
Yeah, but
LeBron can play some ball.
Well, there's no question about LeBron's talent.
No, you can't be 4-6 in championship series.
Oh God, I love you right now. God.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
listen,
know, right?
Oh man, couldn't have said it any more beautiful. Than
listen, he took 4 role players to, his first championship when he was a young dude.
Yeah.
And even the second go around, he's got 4 guys strapped to his back and almost pulled it off. But you can't be the GOAT when you're 4-6.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question, Rich, because this bothers me, and it kind of links towards the LeBron discussion since we're bringing it up. Longevity stats, right? The longer you play at a high level, there are certain records you're going to always break, right? It's just par for the course. In my opinion, nobody is going to say John Stockton is the best point guard ever. Most people are going to say Magic Johnson. Older people will say Oscar Robertson, right? If you look in basketball, again, most people are going to say Michael Jordan. Not many people, although young, may say LeBron James. But then you look in football, at the running back position, Emmitt Smith has the records.
There's only one.
But nobody says Emmitt Smith is the best running back of all time. Like, nobody.
Didn't he play like 25 years though, man? Like that dude was a freaking.
But
Jim
not
Brown.
only that, we can talk about a guy that since
Jim Brown dropped the mic.
Yeah,
that's what I said. Look, and I'm a Walter Payton fan, but I'm like the stuff Jim Brown, like they were 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
Or you can sit up there and say Barry Sanders.
Wait,
Barry Sanders is on a horrible team too.
Jim Brown was a fullback, fellas. He was a fullback. Look it up.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you can always talk about one thing that we'll say, Emmett, yeah, he got it. But look what that line that Emmett played behind. Jesus.
Yeah, he did. And he barely took any hits.
But my point was, in certain sports, they look at the longevity and what you achieved and say, okay, hey, Hall of Fame, you did it, regardless of how you did it, you did it. But you're not the best.
Yeah.
Hell, Frank Gore is like the 3rd all-time ever, but nobody's gonna say.
Hey, I was
Frank
gonna
Gore
mention
over
him,
Walter
yeah.
Payton.
And Frank Gore is probably not going to even go down as like a top 20 running back of all time.
He might not even be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's not a first ballot.
He doesn't drop the mic.
No,
He don't walk into a room and drop the mic.
I don't think Frank's first ballot, but I do think he gets in the Hall.
He gets in because of longevity and statistics.
Yeah.
Almost like, maybe I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but wasn't Curtis Martin kind of in that for a while? Because Curtis Martin had like longevity stats, but Curtis Martin was never a top guy.
No, but he may never have been the number 1 guy, but he was the number 2 or 3 guy a whole lot of years. I mean, he was very, very consistent. A lot of 1,000-yard seasons, and
I like Curtis. I like Curtis with the Jets more so than I like them with the Patriots. In my opinion, yeah.
Seemed like he played way more than 15
that still brings me to my point when it comes down to Devin Hester, because for the simple fact, do the Bears even make it to the Super Bowl without Devin Hester?
No. Hands down, no.
Sometimes he was their best
part of their game plan.
Yeah.
Like, they knew that Devin was like, hey, man, just get us to the 40 so we can get a field goal.
That's what the system was. Nobody game planned for our offense. They game planned for Devin Hester not to touch the ball. That's what it was, because you had a higher chance of Devin Hester returning a kickoff than our offense running down the field, going down the field and scoring a touchdown. And then you go to a Super Bowl with them. And I will say it, like, if Rex Grossman wasn't their quarterback, they probably would have won that Super Bowl too.
If they give the ball to Thomas Jones a little bit more, they win that Super Bowl.
Yes, they did not give the ball to Thomas Jones.
But then not only that, the man set an NFL record. He's the only person in NFL history to take an opening kickoff in the Super Bowl.
I remember watching that.
Of one.
Got my Elijah for you there.
And
okay.
Like I said, how many times do we got to drop the mic on this man, but yet they don't want to do it? They didn't want to put him in the first ballot. It doesn't make no sense. It doesn't at all.
Oh, so Rich, I got a question.
Okay.
With Devin not making it first ballot this year, when you all vote next year, what tier does he fall in? Because you have new candidates that are off of their 5 years, right?
Yep. There'll be some new first-year eligible guys.
Can Can you remember off the top of your head, like the top 5 guys off that list? Because I'm thinking about one. I'm not quite sure. But it's about that time for some of those offensive linemen. Because remember, Tony Baselli just got in, right?
Yep.
So it's about time for some more high-profile linemen, if I'm not mistaken, that might be up for their first time as Hall of Famers.
Well, listen, around here, the only thing to cheer about for 10 years when the Browns were god awful was Joe Thomas.
Look, you heard me say lineman. I think I know what I'm talking about. And Joe Thomas, damn sure first. Yes. Left tackle, Joe Thomas, yes. Drop the mic.
It's gonna be tough, and that's why I'm so worried about. I want to also say this, ask you this too, Rich. Does it have to be a certain amount of players in a particular position? Like, excuse me, when the ballot came out as far as with Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, people were like, "Oh, they ain't gonna put 2 wide receivers in there." I said, "Oh, yes, they are. They are definitely gonna put 2 wide receivers in that Hall of Fame. There's no way that you're gonna deny T.O. a second chance and deny Randy first ballot. There's no way." So if they had, let's just say 3 good wide receivers or great wide receivers that came out in the Hall at the same year, is that like a no-go for all 3 of them to get in because, they don't want too many players getting in that one year at one position?
That happened last year, or happened with the 21 class. Anquan Bolden.
I want to say because he was Torrey Holt,
Andre Johnson, and Steve Smith Jr. Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the problem for guys who are in the wide receiver position right now. Andre Johnson, Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith, Anquan Bolden, put their names in a hat and shake it up and pull one out. Their stats are so close across the board. Seasons, yards, touchdowns. I mean, there is not a real big difference between any of those 6 guys. Not one where you just say, well, he's got to be the guy. I mean, there's positives and there's a couple of warts on all of them for, to one extent or the other. Maybe the career was a little shorter here, or this guy didn't win a championship there. This guy
only 2 of those won a championship, which would be Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt. But overall numbers, like Steve Smith got some damn good numbers.
Yeah, he does. And that's a guy who flies under the radar.
Yeah. Like
he torched my ass, I know that.
God. If you drew names out of a hat and I saw statistics and one is Steve Smith and one is Torrey Holt, I'm not mad. I'm not.
Nope. And there's a lot of people who think Torrey Holt's numbers were better than Isaac Bruce.
Well,
yeah. Because a lot of people thought when he first got in that he was basically getting those numbers because of Isaac Bruce.
Yeah.
Well, Isaac Bruce was playing a little longer too, so that had something, a little something to do with it. But I don't think. Well, let me not speculate, but I don't think at this point in time. Not saying that Andre Johnson and not saying that Anquan Bolden are not Hall of Fame worthy.
They're not first.
But not in comparison to those other 3 receivers that we just named.
Right.
Because Steve Smith, Torrey Holt, and Reggie Wayne have really, really good cases.
And Torrey's been waiting the longest of all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, which is surprising, man. That really is.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, let's talk some football. I know we've been getting on the Hall of Fame a little bit. Let's talk some football. We know that you're a Browns.
Can I actually bring one more Hall of Fame thing up, Fal, really quick?
You want to bring one up? Okay, go ahead.
We had at least 3 comments on here.
Oh,
I'm sorry. To actually bring up that all were the same thing.
Okay.
All right. We only were really talking about Devin Hester. And as much as all 3 of us at least agreed, he is a mic drop for us. But there are 2 other people out there that are coming up that I don't really consider our mic drops, but I do consider them eventually being Hall of Famers, and I want to know your opinion. And that's Charles Tillman the owner of the Peanut Punch, which I'm sure any Bears fan knows. That's how a lot of coaches actually practice peanut punches now, to tackle with your fist on the ball. And then you got Lance Briggs, who never, in my opinion, never really got a lot of recognition because who his middle linebacker was in Brian Urlacher. Like, I agree, like with the mic drop situations, both of those players, no offense to either of them, they're not mic drop first ballot Hall of Famers. But in your opinion, would you consider them eventually being Hall of Famers? Because Lance Briggs, I mean, last time I checked, I think he was top 5 in tackling in Bears history.
I think Lance had, of those two, I think Lance has the stronger case. And that,
because of the tackles, right? The multiple 100-season tackles. I mean, multiple seasons of 100 tackles.
Yep.
Okay.
Tillman's tough. I'm just peeking at my I'm peeking at my stats here. 38 INTs. That's pretty good. At the rate people are putting them up now, that stacks up pretty well. I mean, not historically. It's not Charles Woodson numbers. It's not Rod Woodson numbers. But for the position he played and the way the game is now with fewer interceptions, you got guys making all pro that have 2 interception seasons.
That's crazy because
they're shutting down people. Boy, they're both good ones.
And I think it's interesting how you brought up the stats, and I agree with interceptions, hands down. That's a huge part of a cornerback that he was. But what was his final stat in forced fumbles for a corner? Wasn't he 45 to 50?
44.
Yeah, that's insane for a corner, I would think.
Defensive backs.
That's an insane number for a corner. And I don't see – I would like to actually look up that stat to see if any other cornerbacks are even close to that amount of forced fumbles.
They're not. They're not. He literally has more forced fumbles than some people have interceptions and pass deflections combined. I saw that stat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is when you look at him, Hall of Fame worthy versus being noteworthy. Yes, he's changing the game, but then I have to bring up somebody like an Asante Samuel who's got 50 interceptions and is just sitting there. You're talking about a true shutdown corner. And you haven't heard his name maybe you have, Rich, but his name is not in popular circles.
No.
This man's got 50-something interceptions.
So I actually just to butt in really quick, I decided to look it up really quick. Brian Dawkins was the next closest cornerback with 28, and Charles Tillman had 44.
Almost 20 more.
Damn.
Yeah, that's insane. And again, that leads back into a person who changed the game. Cornerbacks were known to tackle, but cornerbacks weren't known to go get that ball.
And Brian Dawkins, I think that's skewed because at that time he was playing majority of his career at strong safety.
Yeah.
And he's a hitter.
He's coming up.
Yeah, he had over 20 sacks. He had over 20 sacks, I remember reading on there too.
Yeah, I'm not disputing his Hall of Fame. I'm saying, but for a safety to have a lot of forced fumbles, it's you kind of look at that like I can understand it because his job is to, separate receiver from ball. Whereas a corner is more of a coverage guy, tackle, not give up the big play. But the peanut punch, I mean, we've had the privilege of speaking twice with former Bears defensive back Chris Harris, who's now a
Jennings too. That was talking
defensive
about
line coach with the Redskins. I'm sorry, the Commanders.
On this show, we can say whatever we want, and I ain't saying no damn Commanders.
I don't want to offend anybody with the Commanders, and he played with Peanut, and he very well is teaching that. You see what I'm saying? So,
would you have kept it to Washington?
Somebody would change the game, Rich. Somebody would change the game.
No, I get it. So, would you have kept it the Washington football team?
No,
I like that.
I would have rather have kept that than the Commanders. I would have rather have kept that than the Commanders. What
was that movie with Russell Crowe in it? What was it called? What was it called?
Masters and Commanders.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about when I heard that.
I was thinking of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
I thought they were Washington football team. It sort of grew on me. I thought
they were pretty much the Washington I don't wear underwear team.
So oh my God. The Washington Commandos, really? I had typed in.
I won $5. I got rich to laugh.
Again, nerd alert. When they had that little poll where they were asking people to submit names to the Washington football team about the name change, I had said the Washington Red Fins. Something close enough to where you can still, kind of have that nostalgia. The Washington Red Fins. That's what I had said.
I always love
the Cobra Commander, and that ain't working for me.
I always loved the funny meme that went out there that was the Washington Possums because they always lay dead in the second half.
Yeah. Hey, Rich.
Yes, sir.
Man, you seem like you're real comfy. Let's start talking about your teams. The Bears, the Browns. You said you were a Browns fan.
Let them talk about the Browns first.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you talk about the Browns first. While we still
got some skill on that.
We got you. So, what do you think about this? What do you think that the NFL or that the Browns should do as far as with this Deshaun Watson scenario that's going on?
Well, what should the Browns do? The Browns made their choice known when they wrote that $240 million fully
guaranteed money.
Woo!
Man.
Yeah. Ching, here you go.
Yeah.
I think it's going to pay off for him in the long run, though.
So now, do you think that he's gone and served his time as far as suspension and everything by not being able to play for that whole season? Or do you think that they should just continue to include games for him not playing due to this whole situation? I think it's time served already. I mean, the man missed a whole year.
Well, yeah, but that was his choice.
But didn't he get paid for that year?
Would be what the league would.
I don't know. Did he get paid?
He did get paid, but remember, the Texans decided
he showed up.
Made the ultimate decision to distance themselves.
Yeah, he showed up for camp, so he forced the Texans' hands. It was
they told him to go home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Deshaun plays 8 games this year.
Oh, 8?
8.
I'm pretty close to that too. I mean, a
9-game suspension.
Well, he'll get hurt.
Like an 8-9 game suspension.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
He'll get hurt, or when they play somebody on Thursday after a Sunday, Jacoby will get his start.
Mm.
I actually have Deshaun starting the season because he's going to protest his suspension, and if I'm not mistaken, if you protest your suspension, you're still starting while it's under investigation.
While the appeal is under investigation, but see, it depends on when they file the appeal. But see, this is a unique situation too because you got that third-party arbitrator.
Right. It's really not fun. It's really not the league now.
Right. It's not the league now. And when you have that arbitrator come in, to me, that's the league saying, "Hell, we really don't know how to deal with this."
I actually have him starting the first 3 games, and then missing the next 4, and then finishing the season.
I think they're gonna give him a little bit more than 4 games.
No, it's just the NFL is very.
I've heard 6 to 8
is
on the table right now in certain circles, but it's all speculatory. But here's my thing, kind of like linking to what you said, Foulmouth. Time served because although he showed up for work, the team decided to make him step away, and not play. But we've seen, without saying names, certain players, certain high-profile players, do a lot worse and got a lot less.
Absolutely,
and
we've seen a lot of pro-type players do a lot less and get way longer of a suspension. And we'll always bring up Gordon for smoking marijuana, and he missed an entire year for that.
I'm not even going to
Ray Rice beat the hell out of his girlfriend and missed 3 games.
Calvin Ridley.
Ridley too, yeah. There's another good one.
A year-long suspension for DraftKings.
And what was that like? What was that like? $1,000?
He probably had that in his gym bag.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that one.
What do you think about the Browns? What do you think? What you think they're gonna do this year? This is one of your teams. So tell me what are your expectations for the Cleveland Browns this year?
Hey, look.
I'll go 10-7. I'll go 10-7 if Deshaun plays 8 or more games.
Is it a playoff team? 10-7?
No, not in the AFC. You better win 11.
Oh yeah, this is AFC we're talking about. Yeah, that might not do it.
You better win 11.
I mean, do you think that they can compete in the North? I know the North had a crazy year last year with so many injuries and with teams not living up to the expectations that they were supposed to have last year, particularly Baltimore.
Yeah, Cleveland was down. Baltimore, what'd they lose? The last 6 or more?
Remember, they were decimated by injury.
Yeah.
And then Lamar got hurt, and they were still in playoff contention, and he never came back.
Yeah.
When he got hurt, they were still number 1 in the division. See, people don't remember, like, Cincinnati won the division at 10-7.
Yeah. And who the hell saw not Tennessee, but Cincinnati? Who the hell ever?
I don't think anybody could go back to the future.
Like I tell people all the time, that Cincinnati team last year gives me hope as a fucking Bears fan.
Well, like I'm gonna actually second that. I'm gonna second that, Falmouth, because I'm getting into arguments with people about, this just makes it well known that an offensive line isn't as important. I was like, bullshit. All right, this happened one time. An offensive line is still damn important to protect your quarterback. Burroughs is the one person that actually got through it crazy. I don't know how he did.
But we're talking about a guy that in his first year had a torn ACL.
Yeah, and he was having a great year before.
And his second year was the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He did more with whatever, but I guarantee you Cincinnati does not have that sustained success in his third.
No. They got a lot of offensive line help in the draft, though, this year, I think.
Did. And they got a good wide receiver core.
Yes.
Tell you what.
Yes.
Bears would trade for any of their top 3 guys. The top three, maybe 4 receivers on Cincinnati would be the number 1 in Chicago.
Ooh, absolutely.
You're tearing apart Darnell Mooney already?
No, we just elevating T. Higgins and not Justin Jefferson.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is just,
With that being said, though, because I know a lot of people have the Cincinnati Bengals as the front runners in, where do you have Cleveland? Because with Baltimore coming back and they really haven't addressed their receiver, losing Hollywood Brown.
It's going to hurt.
But Cleveland also did lose Jarvis Landry, who was one of their most productive receivers. Now you do have Donovan Peoples-Jones. You did also pick up Amari Cooper.
And I think Amari Cooper is going to be an X factor for them.
I think he'll be pretty good.
Yeah, he's going to be an X factor.
I have no problem with Coop. Coop was doing his thing on Dallas. I wish Prescott had to throw him the ball a little bit more. You know,
I wish Amari Cooper slipped one more draft pick and we were able to get him. Then godforsaken Kevin fucking White.
Hey,
well,
that should be another square.
We picked Kevin White over Amari Cooper.
Well, no, Amari Cooper. We wanted Amari Cooper in that draft. Amari Cooper was drafted 1 pick before Kevin White, so we settled on Kevin White.
That's the time you didn't.
Right?
And that's the year you
Amari
didn't trade
was
up.
6, and we took Amari 7. Or I'm
You
sorry,
took Kevin White 7.
Damn, was he? Damn.
Yeah. And we wanted, and that's where I always said, like, I was not against how the Bears draft went this year because they picked best available instead of a specific position that they wanted. They did no research on Kevin White. None. They wanted Amari Cooper.
His best year was his sophomore year. Junior year, he was kind of okay.
He was hurt his entire college career, pretty much, Kevin White.
So to answer your question, I see the Browns second place. I think the Bengals will repeat. The Browns will come in second. Baltimore 3, Pittsburgh 4.
I was thinking the same thing, and the reason why is because without having that dynamic air attack in Baltimore, because now, let's face it, you can't run Lamar like they've been doing. You can't do it. It's not sustained. And then I love Mike Tomlin, but I'll be damned if you have success with Mitch Trubisky. It's not going to happen.
I don't know.
Not going to happen.
I don't know.
Not going to happen.
I think Pittsburgh is going to contend. That's for a Super Bowl for the division.
Defensively, they're always top.
And they got some solid receivers too. Solid.
Oh, no,
but they have a great head coach with a great offensive system that works towards the quarterback strength.
Their line is a problem.
True. Okay, I can give you
That's
that.
That's the thing. That's why they wanted Najee Harris so bad, because they knew they couldn't. Like Ben Roethlisberger was getting beat up. Mason Rudolph never was the answer, ever. Never liked him coming out of Oklahoma State. He's a popcorn arm quarterback. But Mitch Trubisky gives them that scrambling aspect, which we know.
But you're going to use that run game, and you're going to use him off of play action.
There you go.
Something that the McDonald's waitress freaking drive-through guy never did for him.
But now we're talking about a team fighting for 8-9, 9-8 in the division. They're going to beat each other up.
Yeah.
They're going to. But me personally, I have Cincinnati at that 11-6 range. Like you, Rich, I've got Cleveland right behind them at either 11-6 tied, but maybe they've got the game ahead. But then Baltimore, I still have Baltimore getting 10 wins. And 10-7 might have you not in the playoffs in that division.
That's a tough division.
You're not going to get it. I think you got to have 11. All right, how about the NFC?
Yeah, let's get off. Let's talk about these Bears.
Yeah.
I'm done
we
talking about
actually did have a question on here too for Bears. Since we're talking Bears, let's hit that bad boy. What do you think about the new staff that they brought in this year? Are you for it or are you against it? They brought in a defensive-minded head coach, a very similar to a Rob Marinelli, similar to a Lovie Smith type guy.
Hey,
like something that
Lovie Smith have the best beard ever? Lovie is rocking the beard, man. That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, our guy, who's lurking on here right now, really has a very strong resemblance to Lovie Smith. If he grew out that gray beard, let me tell you, man.
Yes,
Halloween, here he come.
I'm a fan. Yes, of the front office moves, I'm a fan.
Oh, wait, of the moves, Rich, or the personnel period? Because
the ones that ownership brought in.
Okay, gotcha.
The GM and the coach. Yes, I'm a fan.
That's awesome. I mean, that's good to hear because, us as Bear fans, I think we're going into this year feeling so much better because we're not expecting much, if that makes any sense. Like we don't know what's going to happen because we have a first-time head coach, first-time defensive coordinator, first-time offensive coordinator, first-time general manager. You don't know what's going to happen.
Nope.
But when it comes down to it, I still think the Bears have a lot of weapons. And I think this is going to be a year where David Montgomery just...
A lot of weapons, Frank?
A good amount of weapons. We'll say it like
I only see 2 weapons.
I won't say a lot. You got Roquan Smith at linebacker.
Okay.
We'll go defensively. And I love the corner and the safety that they picked up to go alongside Jalen Johnson as well, because I think Jalen Johnson is very good as well.
Well, I'm big on Jaquan Brisker. I love Brisker fan. I told you that if the Bears don't pick him, they're stupid.
Yes.
He was the safety of that Mike Brown ilk that the Bears need. Right?
I agree.
Kyler Gordon was I didn't see them picking Kyler Gordon because of the needed receiver. What bothers me, and I'm going to go on record, never will I be afraid to go on record. I'm not definitely sold on Velvet Jones.
As in nobody is.
Henry
that's a question mark.
Already. You just got here and you're talking about getting cut already?
Yeah, that's a very good question mark. As in Lovie Smith over here just said. When it comes down to he can come out and just tear it apart, and we just didn't expect it whatsoever because he is aged. As sad as it sounds, he's already 25 years old, which means at least he's matured.
I'm not saying 25 is not old. That's not my.
It is for a draft pick. I feel like sometimes
I kind of don't because sometimes you go through situations and you get where you get you transfer and then you got to sit out a year. You get hurt too early in the season. Now you got a red shirt. There's a lot of factors that go on with, your birthday's after September 1st. There's a lot of factors that go into what they deem as you being an older player.
Yeah. And it's understandable.
Don't give me a 21-year-old that's raw as onions if I can have a 25-year-old that's going to go out and give me numbers right away.
Yeah, but is he going to give you numbers? It's the question mark.
Well, that's the question, because
you don't know.
What he does best is nothing different than what we've already had. I'm very, very.
We don't have
size, you know, and that's what scares me, because now with the formation of our line, even though I think that now three of our starting linemen, as currently constructed today, we've gotten off of free agency.
I agree.
My question is,
and I liked some of those.
So my question is, what happened to all them linemen? Call it 5th round or whatever. What happened to all those linemen we were raving about that we drafted?
It's just as simple, JB. We don't know.
That's where I was going.
Practicing and doing everything in shorts. Nah, you can't wear your finger. Hey, look here, player. Football is played in pads. That shit don't mean nothing. Frank, I've been quiet long enough. I haven't said anything. You would have been able to watch it in
Here we go. No work. I'm at home tomorrow, so I can watch
that shit. Don't mean nothing. Everything that they did in those little training camps and all that shit, it means nothing. They wasn't in no fucking pads. Until you get them goddamn pads on, then you know what the fuck you got. All that other.
I'm not debating that.
Don't mean nothing.
What I'm debating is this. To me, it's very telling that the Braxton Jones, and all these other guys that you brought in and were so high on weren't good enough that you had to go and sign free agents.
It doesn't mean that they weren't good enough, JB.
Well, you just lost this.
It wasn't that they weren't good enough. They just probably not experienced enough. You want to bring in vets to sit up there and teach these guys how to do this. Even though Larry Bourne, Tevin Jenkins, all them guys, they were rookies last year. And even on top of that, they were hurt majority of the year, so they didn't really get a chance. So, yeah, I don't care that they brought in them guys. Riley Reef is not a long-term answer.
No, this is a
great offensive lineman.
Bringing in to probably show these guys, you want to make sure that your quarterback don't get fucking obliterated.
These are all one-year signings. These are all one-year signings, and you're just using.
Oh man, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, these are all one-year signings. You're getting your veteran presence. Those are the key things.
You get veterans in. Just follow my lead here for a second, and then Rich, chime in, please. You grab these veteran free agents. Remember, a couple shows back, we had a list of free agent linemen that the Bears should go get, so that you wouldn't have to expend draft capital to grab certain linemen with question marks or maybes. Get some proven guys. So what do? They draft these guys and end up getting the free agents after the fact anyway. So to me, that's telling, because now when you have those guys in place and the Bears line looks a little bit better, let's say Justin looks pretty good this year. Well, those 3 guys that you got on them 1-year deals, when they leave, now you need a Braxton Jones to step in. You need a Sam Mustipher to step back up. You're hoping that a Dakota Dozier gets off of injury and comes back after tearing his ACL. Now you're putting Justin in year 3 right back in harm's way. That's what I'm saying. If you don't evaluate the talent.
You don't know that. JB, that sounds like bullshit, man.
I'm not finished. It's very telling to me right now when you draft certain people and you're high on them, and then you be like, yeah, but give me that guy in free agency for $10 million because he's not ready.
JB.
I want Rich to answer that, please.
Yeah, go for it, Rich. Let's hear what you got, man.
Here's what I don't like to see any team do is not tear it down to the studs, right? If you got to rebuild, just rip it down, burn it to the ground and start over and play those. You drafted those guys for a reason. Play them.
Thank you. Play them.
But this is the thing, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. We don't know if they're not going to play.
Well, training game. Go 5 and I'd rather go 5-12 with guys and get an experience than go out and
I agree 100%.
Do a bunch of sign a bunch of dudes to 1-year deals so that you can do what? Go 7-10.
See, Rich, you think like I think because that's fool's gold, right? It's false hope.
Well, this the way I look at it, Rich.
And it's going to cost you 8 spots in the draft too the next time around. What?
I agree with that.
But that's the one thing about the NFL. The NFL usually, unlike the NBA, is real deep. So when I look at it, when I saw them making their moves, I was actually kind of happy about it. It's not that I don't believe in Larry Bourne and Tevin Jenkins and Braxton Jones. It's just that when you look at that Bears roster and you look at that offensive line and that most important player on that roster is Justin Fields, he ain't going to have shit but a bunch of rookies and second-year guys that really technically still are rookies because ain't none of them played a full 17 fucking games in the NFL. So I don't want to get my quarterback killed. Now, what I'll sit up there and do, I would like to sit up there and have some veterans come in and teach these guys the ropes. And then not only that, we don't know what's going to go on because all we saw was the bullshit in fucking shorts and shirts. We ain't seen shit in no pads. So I'm just waiting for it to happen with the pads on.
So if you weren't stellar in shorts and shirts, what makes you think you're going to be stellar in pads?
Because there's certain things that you can't do in fucking shorts and shirts, JB, that you can do in fucking pads, JB.
And that's why you should never be a GM because
you can pull that flag out of their pocket and pads.
Poles is telling us right now that they either aren't ready or aren't as good as he thought. He's telling us right now.
To leave. Look at that. Foulmouth's got to go see his therapist.
Good. He sucks anyway. But I think you feel me, Rich, because it's very telling if I say, hey, I'm drafting this guy and he's my number one and he's all world. And then it comes to crunch time. And it's like, yeah, give me this 10-year veteran real quick for the cheap.
See, this is where I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, like, what is the one thing that, that piece of shit.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm running out of bad names to tell him without saying his name, though.
Denny's menu having.
I can't use the same thing every time.
Yes, you can.
Like, how about this one? The guy who everybody looked great in practice all week.
The guy formerly known as the Bears head coach.
Yes, that clown. We never had depth on offensive linemen. When one guy went down, we were screwed. We were screwed.
It was a carousel. It always was.
I'm not against depth. If they made this signing the third preseason game, I'd be a little bit more concerned or something like that. Preseason hasn't even started yet. You don't know if these guys are going to start. Braxton Jones could come out and just tear it apart in preseason, and he's going to win the starting job. Like, I don't see it being a problem now that training camp hasn't even officially started yet because you just went out and got depth. And that's what I want as a Bears fan is I want depth on that offensive line where if Braxton Jones, let's just play devil's advocate here, Larry Borum starts, he goes down. We now have a very good player very solid player backing him up. Even if he is a 10-year veteran. That veteran is coming in here teaching him the ropes.
Who's backing him up, Frank? Who's backing him up?
It's actually Jenkins is backing him up right now.
Right. So, no, you don't have a 10-year.
It's actually a battle with him and
Jenkins. Guy backing him up.
Yeah. But, I mean, we don't know. I mean, this is a whole, like how he said, it's a whole new scheme. It's a whole new coaching staff. We don't know. There is one person. There's one person on this offensive line that is a guaranteed start, and that's our center. That to me is a guaranteed start.
You don't think Riley Reef is a guaranteed start?
No, not even shot. Not even a shot. Like that old Packer lovely guy that I love who knows how to chug a beer better than Karen Rodgers does, who can't even chug a beer to save his life. Like, that guy is your starting center this year, and there's no question about that, unless there's injuries.
Gentleman's bet, whiskey of your choice, bottle of your choice, that the three free agents, Lucas Patrick, I can't think of Buddy's name from the Chargers right now, and
Michael
Schofield, and Riley Reef start. Guaranteed.
All three of them start.
All three. Bottle of your choice.
I'm game with that. Bet. The little virtual handshake here. Bet. All three, no. I can see some of them starting if it goes preseason and these offensive linemen don't cut out. But when it comes down to it, like, I'm not sold on that right away because I really don't know. Because, like I said, if this was the third game of preseason, I'd understand it a little bit more of why everyone's worried. But preseason hasn't even started yet.
So tell me this, Rich. Out of the quarterback class that came out last year, where would you rank Justin Fields? Like,
definitely
let's say you were the GM. You got the number one pick. You need a quarterback. Out of those 5, 6 guys, however many got drafted, who would have been your number one pick? Who did you like best coming out of college?
I like Justin. Listen, we certainly saw plenty of them seeing every Ohio State game every week. I liked that move. I liked that move a lot, and I restored some faith in the organization. It seemed like they had a plan when they made it, and I'd do it again. I think you can build around it. And I get what Frank's saying about having depth on the line. I just don't like the idea of, I'd rather have the guys that I'm counting on for depth to be there for more than 1 year. I mean, and maybe, you know, maybe you know, it keeps you from being tied to somebody who isn't any good. And if you have to unload them, you can unload them and you can find some replaceable parts. But I would have just rather invested the money in some of the other positions too.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the crazy part about it, because they still have money left to make some moves. The reason why I like this is because, for the simple fact, Justin is your most important piece of the franchise. It's just that simple. You don't want to necessarily send him out there with a rookie left tackle, basically rookie right tackle, and possibly a rookie right guard. You know, you want to give him some guys that, you know, these guys are still young. It doesn't mean because they want to sign some new guys that, oh, okay, these guys, they're not going to make it. Like Frank said, shit, training camp ain't even started yet.
Yeah.
So we don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to look. You know, they're going to have damn near a month off, you know, time to improve themselves even more. I'm interested to see how this training camp goes, what we get to see. And I'm damn sure waiting to see what this preseason looks like and, you know, how this offensive scheme is going to look. That's what I'm really, because I tell you this, one thing that the Bears do need, they need some nasty guys up front.
They got that.
They need some nasty guys up front, because that soft ass shit I saw last year was a fucking embarrassment to the.
Just say his name. Say his name. We can say his name. It's not a swear word. Just say his name.
I don't want to say his name.
What are we talking about? Just say his name.
I don't even want to say his name.
I'll say his name. It's a Fetty who literally slapped our rookie lineman for sticking up for his quarterback after a late hit. Who slapped him in the back of the head and said, "What you're doing." If I was that coach right now, I would have slapped him in the back of the head for saying that.
His ass would have been cut.
Yeah, I would have water boyed his ass across the freaking sideline.
Hey, you guys are morbid.
If he would have freaking I want nasty on that offensive lineman, somebody who is going to get pissed off if your quarterback gets late hit.
Yeah,
not somebody who's scared to get a penalty.
Yeah. So let me get this straight, Frank. So, I said Frank. I'm sorry, Rich. If you had the number one pick last year, were you taking Justin Fields number one, or you were going to go one of the other quarterbacks?
You to throw some names at me.
You had Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, no way.
Thank you. He looked like a third grader.
Who else did they have? Trey Lance. What's the guy from Stanford? What's his name?
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, yeah.
And then you have Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones, one and only.
I'm not taking Mac number one, but I thought that was a perfect spot for him. Perfect.
It was a perfect spot. I admit to that.
He thrived in that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
It's coming down between Trevor and Justin. If I got the number one pick, it's coming down to one of those two.
Yeah, I thought it was
good with Justin.
Clearly one or two, but I have questions still to this day about Trey and Zach Wilson. Like, neither one of them. Well, Trey didn't play enough, but when Zach did play, he made a couple of plays, but he didn't look so impressive. There was like, that's a lock. That's our future, 10 to 15 year guy. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that from Zach Wilson coming out. But
BYU system and everything like that is something that everyone's praying to have the next Tom Brady type. Like the way
I did it, but sometimes a person has all the physical tools, but up here. And then just like he looked scared on a lot of plays. I'm watching NFL Network, and he just looked nervous. Like, oh my God. Let me get rid of the ball before I get hit.
Yeah.
Whereas other players like
and Mac Jones is just the opposite.
Season. Say again.
Yeah, I say Mac Jones is just the opposite, right? He throws it okay, but not like Mac Jones doesn't throw it like Wilson.
Not at all. But he's poised. Look, he's calm in the pocket. You know, and then somebody like Trevor Lawrence didn't have a good season. Everybody want to dump on Justin. Trevor Lawrence didn't have a good season at all.
I think Justin. They're blaming it all on his coach. Like our coach was fucking a genius or something. Our coach was probably one of the fucking worst coaches I've ever seen in fucking NFL.
Pearl flat.
Right. I mean, shit. Hell, Rich, we could have went out there and we could have got the damn Bears wide receivers. Like, bring your curl ass here. Come on, I know the curl's coming. Come on.
Let's not forget those delayed handoffs. Let's not forget those delayed handoffs on fourth and one.
Yeah. Hey guys, Jakeem Grant's in the game. I think he's getting the ball.
Every time he was in the game.
Matter of fact, leave everybody else ass over there. Everybody go over there to Jakeem Grant because that's where it's going to go.
And that's pretty much what they did. They had a corner, they had a safety, and they had a linebacker, and they still threw him the ball. Yeah, that's funny.
So you're saying it was predictable?
Very predictable.
Overly.
Me as a couch potato, I knew exactly what the freaking play that they were going to call before it actually happened.
Hey, Rich, we knew every call that Nagy was going to make, and so did the first defense.
Hey, Rich, when you watched the all 22,
said his name, $1 in the jar.
After Allen Robinson came back, the Bears were more than predictable, and you knew he wasn't getting the ball.
Yeah,
he didn't even try. He knew. He tipped it to you, the fan watching. I ain't getting the ball, so what I'm running for?
Right. He wasn't even in a receiver stance.
No, he like this on the lean back. Like, well, I know what this play is about to be. So imagine what people that are actually paid to do this are looking at. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, like, oh my God, like.
I always said when it comes down to like running backs, I think David Montgomery is going to have a breakout year this year because you actually have a coach who's going to utilize him.
Yes.
Like that is a key thing of this team this year. But last year, he had a 3.4 yards per carry average when 37% of his snaps that he got the ball, he was hitting the backfield before reaching the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
That's an insane stat to have when you're hitting the backfield that much. But all of those were because of the freaking guy calling those same exact plays all the time. Like, I literally can sit there and I'd be like, all right, I got $5 on right now that Nagy's going to call that delayed handoff on 3rd and 1.
Hey, you said his name.
And that's exact. Oh, damn it, dude. All right, I got to get $1. Gotta get $1. Get one out of my wallet after the show.
Rich.
You still carry cash? Come on now.
I know, right?
It's because of this Bears team now I have to carry cash.
It's a thing. It's a thing, Rich. It's a thing. It's a thing.
I missed
like, every time you say that guy's name, every time foul mouth, we bring up a certain kicker, he's got to go see his therapist. It's
I got PTSD over that shit, and I'm still seeing my therapist about that shit.
Double doink?
About double doinks.
Oh, the double Ds. The double Ds of football.
Damn. Yeah, I'm still seeing a therapist about that shit. That shit is.
That was the last time I took a 2-mile jog around the block was after.
All right. I got one for you guys.
Yes.
They moving the stadium out to Frank's neighborhood, or is it?
Hell yeah, we coming to Frank crib to spend the night, baby.
You guys can literally camp out at my houses on Saturday before game day. Let's go.
Yep.
15 minutes from my house, baby. I can't wait.
Is it happening?
It's happening. It's happening, hands down. Right. I don't care what Lori McBeetlejuice is saying right now about putting a dome on Soldier Field. All right. Lance Briggs came out. Lance Briggs came out and said it perfectly. It is too late for you to come out and say that you're going to do this now when the Bears organization has to do this for decades.
What'd you say, Rich?
So you know where she's from?
I don't.
Ohio.
She's from about 8 miles.
Ohio.
She's from Ohio. Yes.
About 8 miles west of the Hall of Fame. That's where she grew up.
You know.
Sorry.
She talked. So this is my thing. You can't talk shit about the team and then try to
right, and then
back.
you're trying to
Like,
kiss
oh, we
their ass
need
to
you.
stay.
Like, you sit up there and told them, like, you guys need to focus on beating Green Bay in October and actually have
it was focused more about actually playing in for the playoffs. It actually battling for a playoff spot than actually worried about where you're moving to next.
Yeah, and she said beating
now
Green Bay.
you're saying you want them to stay.
Yeah.
So because they want them tax dollars.
I'll say this because I'm going to be that guy. The concept art of what that stadium could look like. Oh,
that shit was dope.
My God. So,
all right.
Am I going to be the first Chicago Bills fan?
No, because it's not going to happen.
Nah, that's not going to happen. Nah. Roger Goodell is not going to go for that.
Hey, Rich, you might have heard it here first. Chicago Bills.
They have already said straight up that Roger Goodell will not approve a second team in the NFL in Chicago. You can put an XFL team in there if you want. You want to go do that, or that American Football League or whatever it's called.
Here's the thing. That's not fair because there are states that have multiple teams, and we know those.
Yes. It's a respect of the organization.
How many of them are charter franchise?
Exactly. He said this in 2006.
So do you want to play the charter franchise card? Because if the charter franchise card is being played, they need to stay their ass on the lake.
Oh, they do. But they're still here. They're still Chicago.
It's still going to be the Chicago Bears.
There are so many teams in the NFL that don't play in their
Lori
city.
Lightfoot can't change that. It's going to be the Chicago Bears.
And it's not going to happen.
All I said was, if I'm the first Chicago Bills fan.
First of all, the Bills ain't coming here.
They're looking to move out of Buffalo.
I doubt if they seriously move.
They got a great fan base now. I don't see them moving anymore.
They've always had a great fan base when they're winning.
It's not their fan base. Yeah. It's Buffalo don't want to pay no money for them for a new stadium.
You're not wrong on that. Buffalo is cheap as
hell.
I'll
put it to you like this, baby.
So is Chicago.
You want to bring, check this out. You want to bring another franchise into Chicago to play in a spot where owner won't have no access to the revenue outside of his team playing in that spot, because that's what it's really all about.
That's the big problem, because the city owns, the Park District owns.
Right, exactly. Now, the Park District didn't own Soldier Field, and the Bears did.
The Bears would
I guarantee you they'll be talking turkey right now. But since the Park District owns it.
I'm with you. But what the city cannot afford to do is build that dome and have the Chicago Fire playing in it. That's what
I don't think it's going to get done if the Chicago Bears are not there.
But if they're more attractive and then maybe they do like a 50-50 split, they'll get more money putting another team in there, because if the Bears leave, they get no more money.
What you think, Rich? You the owner of the Chicago Bears. You want to go to Arlington, or you want to stay at Soldier Field where
you're handcuffed?
Park District, you handcuffed about how much money that you can sit up there and you can make.
So what? Yeah, we counting dollars or we counting history here?
Well, that's the question right there. There's only one reason to stay.
Right now, you can't count history because there is no history.
Well, not the way it looks now.
Thank you. There's that's dead.
Yeah.
So now it's a desperate move by a desperate mayor, because remember, she's trying to get reelected too.
Oh, that's why the move is being done.
Let's not take the political ploy out of this, right, guys?
If she wasn't trying to get reelected, she wouldn't even be discussed.
No matter what, it's all politics. But I'm saying,
that's all she cares about.
Trust me, it's other teams out there looking like, damn, if the Bears do that, I might be willing to move my franchise and, blah, 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 blah. At least have the conversation.
That's not going to happen. If you're any type of smart owner, there's no way.
We cannot say that will never happen, because we are the same people that grew up in the era that said that a football team will never go to Vegas. We got 2 teams in Vegas, right? No, 3 teams in Vegas.
We got a hockey team in Vegas too. Let's not forget.
You want to know why that is? Do you want to know why that is? Because they legalized fucking gambling in the motherfucking U.S. That's the only reason why.
But my point is,
150% true.
But my point is, Rich, growing up, we knew a couple things were certain. Vegas having a professional sports team was a no-no, correct?
Right.
Now they got 3 teams. So let's not say that things aren't out of the realm of possibility.
There's going to be
good observation.
I put it to you like this: the only way that shit is going to happen, which it ain't gonna happen, is if the city of Chicago and the Park District decide to give whatever team that comes in, like, hey, look, it's your baby. This your baby.
It's more the fact that the only way that's
happen.
going to happen if Roger Goodell dies in his sleep.
That's
the only way that's going to happen, because Roger Goodell has already announced for the last 17 plus years that there are 2 teams that will never have a second team in their city, and that is Green Bay and Chicago, Wisconsin and Illinois. Those are the 2 teams that will never have a second team in their city. Out of what Foulmouth said right there, charter franchises, the respect that you have for Lombardi and the respect that you have McCaskey. But let's say the McCaskey sell the team. Then
there is no more history.
Then you have a question to go and play right now, because that would piss off Goodell if the McCaskey sell the team.
But it's not his decision. He's the voice of the owners. So just like the Raiders, Oakland, Los Angeles.
Oh God! Don't bring up all the ones in California, please.
No. I have to bring it up because
you can. That's a book.
I'm saying I have to bring it up because
California.
If New York is the number 1 metropolis and they've got 2 teams,
agreed.
And damn near every sport they got 2 teams. California,
most of them are 3. If you're going to include Buffalo, if you're going to include Buffalo, most of them are 3.
There you go. In every sport, 2 or 3 teams. What's wrong with Chicago having 2 or 3 teams? Don't give me just that history shit. Hell, the New York Giants are historic teams.
Better, more loyal.
The second better city.
Right. What I've noticed is this: if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
True.
Money can sway anything.
Don Ohlmeyer from NBC said to a question one time, when someone asked him a question, he said, "Young man, the answer to all your questions is money. It's always the money."
Agreed. And I don't see the Bears. I don't see Chicago. And I don't see Chicago giving up that.
We will just say right now, I am already looking for properties to buy cheap in Arlington Heights and sell that bitch to the Chicago Bears in 2026 and making like triple the profits. That's what I'm looking at right now, because I got a good friend of mine who's a firefighter in Arlington Heights who has given me the list of every vacant property near that Soldier Field building.
What I'm worried about, though, like we talked about briefly, Frank, the commute and how much do the fans really travel?
Agreed. But remember what we brought up a while back, too, and you actually agreed with me on this one, JB. 87% of season ticket holders are suburbans in Illinois.
They're suburban Illinois, right.
So what are we arguing about when it comes down to moving out of Chicago then?
Well, it's something to be said about that whole mystique. But we're getting, and that's why I say Roger Goodell can't sit up here and harp on tradition when we're leaving the cold to go somewhere else to get a dome so we can be in a climate controlled facility like the other top tier teams.
Yeah, Super Bowl. We want a Super
Bowl. So that tradition really just got thrown out the window. Like, raise your hand if you care about Bear football in the winter. I don't.
I do.
I love Bear football in the winter.
You know why I don't care? Because when I was there that night and my hot chocolate froze from the time I got
I was there too. I remember that.
Back to my seat. You know what I saw? Bunch of empty seats. They were paid for. They were paid for, but people were like, you know what? Hey man, it's cold as hell. I'm going home.
But were they winning?
No, that was a low season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was when our
nine.
offense was averaging, I think, 9 points a game, and we were
that was
still
like
actually winning games.
No, I think that was one of them 7-9 Wannstedt seasons, wasn't it? Some shit like that.
Okay, the one I'm talking about actually, I think, was like pre-Super Bowl, like 2003.
Oh, it was Dick Duran. That's what it was. It was
Dick
Duran. Wow, shit, yeah.
That's what it was. Not
hey,
Wannstedt.
Rich,
it was Dick Duran.
We want to thank you for coming on out, hanging out with us today, talking some football, being very knowledgeable to us. Hey, we definitely want you back, Rich.
Absolutely.
Right. I know what I'm in for now.
Oh yeah,
I gotta bring it.
This
if there's one thing about this show that you'll know, we just have fun, dude.
I will be the only guy in Ohio who's paying attention to second string left tackles on the Chicago Bears. I know that.
You definitely will be. Hey, we appreciate you for having you on, for coming on with us. Hey, Rich, we want you back seriously though.
All right,
absolutely. Please, Rich, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll come back when I'll be back in 1 year when Devin Hester's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. How about that?
That better be the next ballot. That better be the next ballot.
Yeah,
I'll drive to Ohio and give those people a piece of my mind.
I'm not coming back until Devin
in front of
Hester.
their face.
He said you're not coming back until they get. Well, hey, Rich, put in a good word for him, man.
Oh, you know it. All right,
we're gonna try to get him on the show.
I'm calling Pompey in the morning, saying, "Come on, man."
Exactly.
Devin Hester, mic drop, done. Sit down.
Right.
Okay, you got it, guys.
Have a good one, Rich.
It's great having you, Rich. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care.
Hey, that was a good one, guys. A good one.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. Hey, let's get to some of these shout outs. Frank, go ahead and knock them on out.
Yeah, much livelier chat this week after all that. Jesse, Brandon, we won't, Lovey Smith, whatever. You're a lurker. Moms, always love having you. JB's mom, like always a pleasure having you on. Definitely. Curtis, like I agreed with 99.9% of the stuff that you said, other than this one. Other than that, I'd piss on that one right there, unfortunately. Sorry.
Curtis is a Cowboy fan.
Is he a Cowboys fan? Well, I feel sorry for him then. No offense, Curtis. Still love you, buddy. Keep coming on. Actually, I mean, I'd feel more embarrassed being a Bears fan than a Cowboy fan right now, unfortunately. But other than that, chat was lively. Great guest. I brought in some great things about the mic drop situation. Like, I consider Devin Hester a clear-cut mic drop. Maybe 99.9% of Chicago is going to consider Devin Hester a clear mic drop. But it's always that you just did special teams. You were a solid receiver. I mean, he almost cranked our top 10 receivers all time for the Bears. It's sad, but it's true. Remember, we were always arguing.
Honorable mention.
Yeah, he was always an honorable mention. But when it comes down to that, I kind of felt bad hearing the Tillman thing. He said it's going to be tough for Tillman. I really hope it doesn't come down to that. He did say Lance Briggs is going to be he'll get in, which is a good sign to hear as well. But regardless, great job. We'll definitely have to get him on again soon, like right before Hall of Fame next year maybe comes on. We'll actually try to get back in touch with him. But other than that, all three of you, I'm considering lurker.
The
lurker. Great seeing you guys. Always great. Always look forward to these Tuesday nights, man. All right, that's all I got.
Go ahead, kick it off, JD.
So I'm just going to echo and piggyback on what Frank said. The chat was on fire. Everybody from Moms, Jesse Cortrell. Shoot, we had a lot of guys just in the chat, just on fire. Our lurker was there. Curtis Clay was on. Brandon Hyatt was on. Just, it was a good vibe in the chat tonight, and a lot of good banter back and forth. Because here's the thing, guys. When you have a person on that can answer some of the questions or just give you a little peek into stuff that we've wondered for years, then that's powerful. And that speaks volumes. And I just want to personally thank Rich for being on, because it was such a pleasure to talk to somebody that's in that seat. Whether we realize it or not, that Hall of Fame vote, it holds a lot of power, holds a lot of weight. And any one of us would be eager to have that vote, right? But would we be so eager to pull the trigger like some of them are? Because he gave some light and some insight into what goes on.
You did.
That was huge because some of us don't know. Like, we speculate, we knew to a degree it was a popularity contest, but the whole, is that person to drop the mic and walk off? Now I got to think. Now you have to give me the soft sell. Some people you have to give the hard sell to. I think that was very telling, and I appreciate Rich for coming on. He was a great guest. Gave me a new value and a new insight on how the Hall of Fame is, and maybe moving forward I won't be so harsh. But also maybe they need to expand and say, well, instead of just saying we putting 5 or 6 this year, if there's some people to get in, let's get them in.
9, 10.
Especially 9, 10. Like,
yeah.
Hey, get Mongo McMichael in. It's beyond.
I agree with what you said earlier, too. I don't want to be out of pity, man. This guy deserves to be in.
And he deserves to see it.
Now, he deserves to be in.
He deserves right away. Absolutely. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off getting a shout out to the chat. The chat was live tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming on and watching. And also, remember, people, to like and subscribe to the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast. I like saying that shit.
Clearly.
You should just get a voice recording.
JB's mom, Brandon, Scott, Jesse, everybody in the chat. Thank you guys. Shout out to our guests for coming on and dropping some knowledge on us, giving us understanding and a thought process that goes into when it comes to selecting people for the Hall of Fame. It's very insightful, very, very knowledgeable. And shout out to the kiddies that were wild as hell tonight. I don't know, I guess it's the summertime and they ain't got shit to do. Ain't like they got to go to school.
3 weeks.
Shout out to my daughter. I got to go and take over to my mom's crib tonight because she's leaving to go back to Alabama in the morning. So, shout out to you two fellas and shout out to that lurker. I've been lurking the whole goddamn night, texting me and everything.
Yeah, it must have got like a good solid amount of too as well.
Yeah. So like you said, hey, every week we try to have some guests, you know what I'm saying, some people that's very knowledgeable on sports. And once again, we do this because we love Chicago and we love our sports teams. So like and subscribe. Join our chat. Talk to us. Hell, we got fan appreciation night coming up some nights.
Yeah, for sure.
So we love to sit up there and love to put some faces with them names that we see on the comments.
I want to see your mom. Your mom's got to come on here, JB.
Yeah.
Ask her.
Your mom, I mean, come on, Mom. Next fan appreciation night, we need you on here.
Yeah. Hi, John's mom. Come on down. Outside of that, Chicago Clubhouse fans, it's been one. We out, baby.
This has been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.
And we're still alive. But technically, we're still out.
We're
Hopefully,
always
the socks. Hopefully, the socks.